It's time for Maggie and the Moms. Sponsored by Tampa General Hospital.
We are taking it all off, shedding our makeup and our inhibitions.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody, to Maggie and the Moms, where we celebrate but never sugarcoat parenting. And today, we're not even sugarcoating ourselves. No makeup, taking off those masks that we wear to enhance our beauty and hide our imperfections. Our guest today, Allison Jacobs, my hero. My hero because not only does she dance like nobody else on TikTok with so much confidence, but always with no makeup. And I appreciate that. And we're going to hear where she found that confidence and how we can learn from her. Tina Jackson has 4 daughters. She's a fashion stylist. Appearance matters in your profession, but you're also a mother of 4 daughters. So we're going to hear how you navigate that. And Deanna Moore, girl mom as well, 2 daughters. She is running the show over there, our executive producer.
Hi.
Happy to have you joining the conversation.
Thank you. Multitasking.
Well.
Let's see if I can actually do it.
You're doing well. First time at the board. She always does well, balancing all of it, including 2 daughters. We have daughters, the 3 of us. You have boys. Okay, I guess I will start with you since you're the one that I want to emulate, Allison, because when I watch you and you're dancing, so much power comes through, so much confidence comes through. You are comfortable in your own skin and you don't wear makeup. So how?
So back in 2016, I actually, you talk about social media, I was doing beauty. I was a makeup. Thank you.
Yeah, just making sure we can hear you.
And I love makeup, and makeup can be fun. But as I started to learn, I had an eating disorder, and I went into recovery, and that is a process. And along that process, putting makeup on really started to feel like it was inauthentic to that process. So as I was working through, like really doing hard work, I wasn't wearing the makeup and I was becoming more and more comfortable in my body and at just everything, my face and all of that and how I looked. It just became the new normal. And that confidence that you're talking about, it's not necessarily something that's innate, that you're born with. The more you practice it, the more you work that confidence muscle, the stronger it gets.
100%.
Yeah.
And we are constantly, as moms, sending a message, either with words or with actions, to our children about confidence. And one of my main goals, because I had a lot of hang-ups growing up, I struggled with self-confidence a lot in my childhood. In the 80s, the norm was the rail-thin look. And I hated my body. And I look back, I wasn't heavy. And by the way, so what if I was? I hated my body. I hid it. I hid it. I hated it. I had not a healthy relationship with food. And I have a daughter now who's 19 and who I have made an effort to raise in a way that she knows that beauty is not about what you look like. 4 girls at home, Tina.
Yes.
Have you been intentional about that, and what have you done?
Oh, absolutely. And we've had stages of their development where they weren't as confident because although I have 4 girls, they're all different. They all look different. They're different sizes. They were born different, I have one daughter that's hearing impaired. So we have to talk about her confidence as a hearing impaired person because, she's not like everyone else, but she's her own person. And then I have a daughter that was born a little bit heavier and she's always been a little heavier and she's looked at her sisters and is like, oh, I should be as thin as why am I not as thin as they are? And why can't I wear what they wear? And I'm like, this is what God made you. There are people looking at you wishing they were like you.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
You got to be okay with who you are. And when it comes to makeup and things like that and clothes, that doesn't define your confidence because we all as women have insecurities. Everyone, men, women, we all have some insecurities, but it's how you let it define you where the confidence comes in,
And I find that happens, Deanna, really from the beginning because how you see yourself, the confidence that you have, it is ultimately as an adult, is absolutely a piling on of everything that you have told yourself and other people have told you throughout your life. You have 2 little girls. I know that you have been a champion for them being confident women. How do you do it?
You know, it's funny. I don't wear makeup every day. You see me every day. I come to work. It's just not in my routine. In TBH, it's because I'm lazy. It's not because of anything specific. I'm not trying to make any statement.
Yeah.
So this is how they see me every single day. And it's not like I'm trying to say, hey, emulate what mom does, because they're into makeup.
Yeah.
I don't let them wear it, but they have these little kits at home and they get to, try it on. And my rule is you just can't walk outside of the house. I mean, because they look crazy. They have pink everywhere.
What are their ages?
8 and 10 years old. My mother, who they're with all the time, she wears makeup every day. She's the person, if I do wear makeup, she's the reason why I wear makeup. Because if I'm coming on TV, if I'm coming on Maggie and the Moms, in the back of my mind is my mother's generation telling me that
100%.
I need to be presentable. And the only way to be presentable is to put on makeup and do your hair, and you better wear a cute outfit while you're doing it. But that's not what I'm going
it's
for.
true though that you do. I do feel I wear makeup for me. I wear makeup to enhance my features.
Yes.
I don't want to put out there to my daughter, I don't want to be a hypocrite and say makeup is bad. I wear it every day and I like it.
Yeah.
I want to say, I just want to make sure you know that you're beautiful without makeup.
Yes.
Makeup doesn't
the
make
foundation.
you beautiful.
Yes, the foundation should be beautiful. The
Exactly.
pretty and how you feel about yourself, because it takes confidence to put on makeup. Like I'm not confident with putting on makeup, and that's why I don't wear it every day. And when I'm going somewhere, I have to ask, other people, what color should I wear? Like, how should I wear? I don't wear lashes. Today was the first day I've ever worn lashes. I have 4 products that I use on my face, and that's it. Because I'm not confident in putting on makeup.
I think that's a good point. Then kind of on the flip side, makeup can be really fun. I mean, I still, going through my recovery in that process, I had to go through that, but I put makeup on now and it's fun. And I don't think there's any shame in that. But I think another point with all of this, and I don't have a daughter, it's not only the things that we say to them that we have to be very intentional with, but I think also the way we talk to ourselves.
Yes.
Because you
And
might
about
tell them,
ourselves.
About ourselves,
right? And
yes.
you might be like, "You look beautiful without it. You don't need it." But then if you turn around and you're like, "Oh my God,
Yes.
oh, I
Yes.
need more concealer,"
Right,
Then
right.
what does that say? You know?
And I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, so when it comes to her, my husband and I are both on the same page, where we wanted to make sure that she knew, because she's a beautiful person. She is physically beautiful. She is beautiful
Inside and out.
Yeah.
And so, as I said on the TV segment, she wakes up in the morning, comes out of her room, her hair a mess, no makeup. Gosh, you look pretty. She puts on makeup to go out, dresses to the nines. You look pretty. She does something kind. That's what makes you beautiful. We are defining beauty by using the definition that we think is the true definition, number one, and the definition that is going to bring her confidence and inner peace and ultimately happiness. Because if you feel good in your own skin, oh my gosh, it's such a game changer.
Yes.
The perfectionism that plagued me my entire life and that still slips out makes me mad, because sometimes, even though we say all this to her, I find myself saying, ugh,
Yeah.
I can't wear this anymore. I look terrible. Oh my gosh, my gray hair, it's disgusting. Like using words like that
Yeah.
about your appearance.
And as a wardrobe stylist, that's my number one goal. It's like, if you don't feel good about yourself, whatever I suggest to you is not going to work. You're
Such a
not,
good point.
it's just not going to work. So it is an inner process. It is a process of peeling back a lot of layers, figuring out what is your favorite part of your body. Okay, let's show that off. Let's find something that shows off the favorite part of your body. What don't you like about your body? Because I think that we have to be real with ourselves. There
What
is
about
something
being presentable. I think when I want my daughters to walk out of the door, I want them to be presentable and confident in the way they carry themselves.
Right.
Yes.
right.
And that's an inside out kind of a thing. I think what I emulate the fact that I like to be put together,
Right.
but it's not necessarily about the makeup.
Right.
And I have to offset what people say to them on the outside world. They're always being complimented when strangers see them. You're so pretty. You're so cute. I love your hair. But you never hear compliments for girls about their brain.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I'm just
Yeah.
trying to offset what the world is throwing at them.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's true. That's true. And honestly, as a wardrobe stylist, that is what we have to combat as well, because reality is that people see you before they hear you. And so, but that's where that inner work comes from, because even if my clothes look good, if I don't feel good about myself, it's not going to shine through. The clothes is still going to not be presentable. You know,
Yes.
that's just like even showing up for an interview, and you can show up and looking great. And at first they're going to say, oh, you look great. But then if you're still nervous, if you're still thinking about like your arms or, you know, whatever the case may be, it's not going to be a good interview.
You
So
can't get there. You cannot get there. And I agree, that's where you need to be. But you can't get there unless you're willing to risk, unless you are willing to be vulnerable and do something like what we're doing
Yes.
today.
Right.
Yes.
You have to do the work. And
Yeah.
I do think it's also important to say that we are all human, though. We are not going to wake up every single day
Right.
and be like, I am so awesome. Like,
Yes.
I am gorgeous. I look good. Like, that's just not realistic. And, you know, when you were talking, you were like, I still have these moments where these things creep out. I think it's also an important lesson to teach your daughters and my sons, like, we are not perfect. And it's okay to have those moments.
That's
Yeah.
right. Because
know?
it's as I mentioned before, the need for perfectionism that you're setting yourself up for constant failure because you're never going to reach
Yeah.
perfect.
And that's where the anxiety comes from. Like
Yes.
it comes from wanting to be so perfect, and we're not. I
Exactly.
think the beauty of people is the imperfection. For me, it's the imperfection. Like even in clothes, like it doesn't all need to be crisp and clean and crisp. You know, like it. I like a little bit of humanism in it. You know, like there could be a little wrinkle here. There could be a little half tuck. There could, you know, like that's real. You know,
Agreed.
and
Let-
that's beauty. That's beauty.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about some of the ways that we help build our children's confidence. What are some things that you do?
Well, like I said, I think it's really important to model those things and the way that we talk to ourselves. I go to therapy. I talk to my kids about going to therapy, and I talk about the struggles that I have, because I think part of building confidence is feeling comfortable with the
Yeah.
uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Feeling comfortable with the uncomfortable, for instance.
When you're feeling a negative emotion that you don't want to feel, don't try and push it away.
Okay.
You have to remind yourself it's temporary,
Yes.
and you have to experience it to get to the other side.
Yeah.
The example that
Because
comes,
otherwise you're hiding.
You're hiding
And
it,
that's
right.
the opposite of what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
We don't want to hide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We want to
Yeah.
embrace
Right. You want to
Yeah.
embrace. Yeah.
And you have to,
ourselves the way God made us with our
Exactly.
imperfections and all.
and you have to truly be able to accept and know that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to really work through it.
Yeah. When my kids were growing up, I intentionally said that they all had to do some type of activity or sport, because I think that you have to go through some hard stuff to even build it. You know, you have to hear people saying you're not good enough, or
Yes.
you have to go through all of that, because then that's how you kind of gain it. That's how you gain the grit and the strength and the strongness and the confidence.
Yes.
You know, yeah, I failed at that. Yeah, they may not like that about me, but I found that I like that about myself. Or I found that if I fall, I'm going to get back up, and I'm going to get back up stronger. And, you know, like,
That's right.
So to me, that's what we did in our household. We weren't afraid to let our children fail, make mistakes, think bad thoughts about themselves, you know, like say, I can't do this. Like that's where that whole molding, I feel like for us came from.
I agree. And,
You know?
and you're giving them, they if you wouldn't have expected that of them, they may not have had the courage to try that. So you're showing them you have to have the courage to try new things.
Right.
And what happens when you have the courage to try new things? Maybe you're not great at it, but that's where I think we as a parent have to praise, and I've read this constantly, the effort, not the result.
Yes.
The effort, not the
Yes.
result. You,
Yes.
gosh, you work so hard today at that game. You've gotten so much better. Your practice is really paying off. So then regardless of whether they won or lost, regardless of whether they're the best or the worst on the team, they have confidence because
Yeah.
they're
Yes.
growing.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
growing as a person. They're learning the value of hard work. They're getting better at something that they're trying.
Right.
All
But
of
can
that
I talk
stuff.
about the elephant in the room?
What
Yeah.
is that?
Social media.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Allison, I think, knows this more than anybody else, that there's these outside influences that we don't see, that we don't control, that are commenting on our children's
Yes.
beauty directly
Yes.
because our kids, our teenagers have social media.
Yeah.
And even boils down to my age group, the 8 and 10-year-old, they're not on social media, but the influencers and the influencing comes down to them in elementary school where they are getting critiqued
Yes.
based on their appearance, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
We need
Yeah.
more influencers like Allison.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the
we
answer
do.
there.
Yeah. We do.
It is a tough time to grow up. You know, social media, it can be great, but can be a real dark place. And kids are learning things from their older siblings, but also what their parents are teaching them. And I think all we can do as parents is try, when they're especially younger, in the age of like your kids where you have more influence on them, is to instill those values and really just try to continue to have those conversations with them, and hope that if they're starting to feel otherwise because other kids are saying things, that they will come to you and talk to you.
Yes.
And, you know, maybe you just have check-ins. I'm starting to get there
Yeah.
with my kids in their ages 9 and 11. And it's different, you know, for boys, but still.
It's an issue as
It's a-
well.
yeah.
It is. And it isn't even just about looks and
That's what I was gonna
confidence
say.
and
Yeah.
beauty. I mean, we don't need to get into politics, but with the election that we just had and the conversations that were being had and how it just could get very ugly very quickly.
It sure can.
It's really important, and I'm proud that, you know, my boys did come to me because they knew that some of those conversations were not okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So then
Yeah.
we could address it.
That's important because
Yeah.
we are the ultimate influencers on our children. And also, you know, dealing with negative comments on social media, it's probably inevitable.
Yeah.
And so what I really try to help my kids with is understanding that what someone else says or thinks about you has absolutely no bearing
No.
on your identity, on who you really are. Someone else's opinion of you means nothing
For them.
If it's a negative opinion, if they're mean, clearly that's a they problem.
Right.
That is something inside of them. And, you know, that's something, again, I'm trying to learn from the things that I went through as a kid and not repeat them.
Yeah.
I remember, guys, I was in high school. All right. You know, a high school girl, right? And this girl says to me, you look, we were wearing shorts that day. You look bad in shorts. For a girl who was not comfortable in her with her body, to hear that, guys, my legs are like one of my best features,
Amen,
and yet,
sister.
and yet, you know what happened?
Yeah.
I wound up not wearing shorts again. Maybe years,
I agree with
believe
you.
it.
That was me.
because
And it-
one girl,
Yeah.
said that to
And
me.
mine was because of my parents. My parents are great parents. They're still, you know, here with me. I love them to death. But I just started wearing shorts above my knees in my 30s.
Me too,
Because-
Tina. Well, that wasn't the style either.
And even bathing
but-
suits
yeah,
like
and-
bikinis and
oh,
things like
Tina,
that.
me too.
I would get in the water in Miami in the ocean with shorts over my bathing suit, like the little like shirts with the bathing suit underneath it, and that's how I would go swimming because my parents were like, "No, you're showing too much," and so it made me have like this fear, like
Yes.
a complex of like, oh my gosh, my
I
body's
would
not.
I
you know?
would quickly, first of all, I wouldn't wear a bikini forever, but when I finally did, I would unwrap my towel real quick and lay down.
Yeah.
And just knock it up. Hi, how you doing? Hi, looking up at them, not getting up. I couldn't. And now I say, wear the damn bikini.
Right.
I am 54 years
Right,
old and I wear
I
the
wear it.
damn
I wear it.
bikini.
I wear
because
it.
I want my daughter to see me wearing it because my
Yes.
husband thinks I look hot.
Exactly.
And because I feel better at 54 physically than I did at 18.
Right. Same.
Right.
Same.
And
Same
that's
thing.
and that's hard because aging is another part of this conversation that's important. Y'all, you are all very young.
Right.
You're all young
Did you
people.
not see these grays, Maggie?
Age is relative,
there.
right? Because when you were our age, did you think
You're right,
you, were,
Teen.
you know
You're
what
right,
I'm
Allison.
saying? It's all relative.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is harder
important.
because you're like, you look at old photos and you're like, I used to be so much prettier.
No,
I used to be
We
so
all
much
go
more
through it. I
attractive.
think it's just a building over time. Like even me, I was bullied because I had a big forehead. I was called go head forehead, olive oil. I was really thin,
Oh my
the big head.
Oh, I got the olive oil too.
But
That's not
then
right.
my daughter started acting, and I was always behind the scenes as a wardrobe stylist, but she started acting, and one day they pulled me in to be her mom on camera, in front of the camera. And they, like everyone on set was just like, oh my gosh, you have such beautiful features. Like we look for people with pronounced features and
Look at
big,
that.
big eyes and, eyebrows and foreheads and things like that. It shows up better on camera. Like there's a balance. And I'm like, what? Something that I had been, bullied about for like all of my life. You guys see it as beauty. And that's why what you said, what someone else says about you has nothing to do with you. It's more about what they see. And beauty is literally in the eye of the beholder.
So how
It
do you
really
get
is.
your kids not to believe it? Not to believe the labels that bullies or that society puts on them?
I think we have to
I
talk
think,
to them
constantly.
We have
Constantly.
to be their sounding board.
Yes,
I
and
try
we have to be intentional. We know that it's out there. We know that they're getting it from social media and from their peers. So we have to be intentional. Like my daughter, like all of a sudden she started hiding. Like I felt like she was hiding her eyes, like with these big eyelashes. And so I would be intentional to her when I saw her not wearing eyelashes. I would be
Okay.
like, oh my gosh, you have
Okay,
such
that's
beautifully
really-
shaped eyes. Like, oh my gosh, stop covering them. Like, oh my gosh, your face is so beautiful. And when you put on the eyelashes, you're kind of covering up the nice almond shape of
Well,
your
I have a
eyes.
question for
Like
you
I was
about
very
that.
intentional about that.
This is a generational thing. So our parents in the past had these ideas about shorts and legs and
Yes.
the way we should wear makeup. The new generation, all online on social media, are showing us how to contour and to do eyebrows this way and eyelashes this way. And so how do you fight the over makeup, which, come on, let's be honest, it's
Yeah.
just people selling stuff.
Yeah,
How do
exactly.
you fight that when we learned from our moms? We learned how to do a little
Yep.
bit here, a little bit there, but now they're getting force fed all the ways to do their makeup, which we may not agree with.
Such a good question.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I think because our family is kind of in the like theater and acting and things like that. So I think they do it so much that when they're not doing it, they don't want to do it, But like my daughter with the eyelashes, I'm like, sometimes too much is too much. And you're hiding your beauty. Then it's like you're hiding it. Like who are you?
Isn't
you
that
know?
so true? And that brings me to the question of filtering your photos on social media. Okay, so I'm going to be honest. I have been guilty because I don't wear a lot of makeup. I am not a good makeup artist.
Yeah.
And the way that I see filters on social media, filters are my makeup artist. So sometimes I will add a little eyeshadow. But I have also erased some lines around my eyes. And recently, I have really sort of had a reckoning with that because I have seen some people who I know personally who filter to the point that I don't recognize them.
Yes.
And I say, gosh, and I feel sort of sorry for them. And so I think, is it time for me, who I believe still look like myself when I erase my lines, to stop erasing the lines?
I think so.
Yeah.
You think
I,
so?
I think, well, filters, and then you go a step further when your kid. I listen, and I do this for a living, but my kids do not have social media accounts. Keep your kids off social media
For as long as you can.
possible. I did.
because it's
I did.
it's
We all agree. I
Yeah.
right. It's not even just filters like AI. There are influencers that are not even
Not real people.
And so you're comparing yourself to a standard that isn't even real. So I mean,
the more we do it, the more we look like those unreal people.
Right.
We stop looking like real people.
it is
Everybody
so-
starts to look the same.
Yeah.
It is so very true. And I think, to your point about the over makeup and all of that, again, it's just continuing to talk to them, reminding them what social media and marketing in general is, literally to make you feel insecure, to create a need that you then have to go and purchase something to make yourself feel better. But then we also have to remember that these kids' frontal lobes aren't fully formed, and there's only so much. There's only so much of like those larger conversations that they're gonna get.
And that's what I was saying. I think they have to go through it.
Right.
Like, just like we had to go through it to get to this revelation.
Right.
I think that as parents, we shouldn't just jump in and try and halt it, but just be there to
True. But
help
we
them
don't have
shift
to
it.
buy the makeup.
right.
Right, we don't have
Let's
to buy the
say
makeup.
that
yes.
Sephora tweens. No, sorry.
No.
Yeah, but they're gonna
right,
find a
right.
way to get it
Yeah.
and sneak it then.
You think so?
Oh,
I do
yes.
think so.
Yeah.
So this
Especially
was-
as they become teenagers.
Right.
Well, yeah, then-
Like
yeah.
I think if you're at that stage where your child is wanting to wear makeup and you know that if they really want to wear it and it's age appropriate, then what I would do is take them somewhere where they can learn how to do not the over contouring, not all of that, but to properly put makeup on so that they're not covering up. They're
enhancing.
Enhancing.
And they're doing it as a means of expressing themselves
Yes.
and
Right.
feeling
Healthy.
good about it and
Yes.
doing it for them.
You're
Listen,
taking
I'm
control of the-
45
of
and
the
I've never
narrative.
contoured.
Me neither. I don't know how. I'd love to learn. Maybe these tweens can teach me how to contour. I don't know how to do it. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a very healthy approach to it because they deserve it. Age appropriate, wear a little makeup, sure. But for me, it's like my daughter sees me when I have to put on makeup. It's a chore. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, same.
makeup.
Yeah.
And so maybe she picks up on that and she can have her own attitudes about makeup because like I said, it's about how they feel about themselves.
Right.
That
Yeah.
dictates, their relationship with makeup and
Right.
beauty questions and things like that.
I'm trying to figure out what age I can let them start.
What age? Let
'Cause
them
I had the
start?
mandate of 16. My
Yeah.
parents said you can wear makeup when you're 16 years old, but I'm like, what? It seems like younger and younger.
I feel
Yeah,
like
mine was 15.
high school.
Yeah,
high school.
Yeah, mhm.
8th
And it was
grade, though, some
only-
girls already.
Oh,
7th and
no.
8th grade, they
Yeah.
already.
Oh,
But for
no.
me, my daughter, it was high school.
Yeah, same. High school. And it was
I-
only if they were like going to
So
homecoming.
like
Yes,
14?
exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't like an everyday
No,
thing.
my daughter didn't do it that young. I think maybe, actually maybe 14, 15 because
Yeah, mine was
freshman
15.
year. Yeah.
Mine was 15.
Well, I mean, again, I don't have daughters, but I know for me, and
Yes.
I was a makeup artist. I love makeup. I always have. I love it. And I was not allowed to wear it, but I snuck makeup to school in middle school. I definitely
You did it.
Really?
I
Yeah.
definitely did.
But it wasn't, I think that all middle schoolers kind of go through that testing the boundaries of
Sure.
Well,
their
that's true,
parents.
too.
So I can't say I didn't allow them to wear makeup, but I let them play in it.
Right.
Like when they were in middle school, because I have one daughter that loves makeup. She does it in college for money, and she does hair. She's in that beauty world, so she's always loved makeup. So I would buy the little kits for her, and she would play with it at home. And
Be
she would
careful
put
with
makeup.
those cheap makeup
no.
kits because they
Yeah.
have
Oh,
toxic
she had
stuff.
like the
Good
like
stuff.
I'm not the
Okay,
good stuff.
all right.
It cost.
Okay. No, because I've read horror stories
Yeah.
about that stuff.
The skincare
No,
too.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the whole thing.
So Deanna raised the question of at what age do you allow makeup? And there are other beauty questions. At what age do you allow them to wax their eyebrows, shave their legs, all those
geez.
other things? Because I read an article where a mom was saying that she, as a child, had a major unibrow. And she didn't even realize it until some mean kids at school started teasing her about it. And then she went home and she shaved, her unibrow, and it looked even worse. And only then did she finally come to her mom and say, Mom, can you help me? Can you take me to go get waxed? And she said that she actually is happy that her mom never told her. She is happy that it happened the way it happened because she says either way I would have gotten the message, and if it had been my mom who told me that, it would have been like my mom saying, there's something wrong with you, do you want to change it?
Yeah.
I don't know that I agree as wholeheartedly as you guys though, because I feel like there's a way to say it. Like you can talk to your children about your grooming habits. I wax my eyebrows and here's why. I over tweezed my eyebrows, Daniela, as you can see, and this is what happens. I shave my legs, and then you tell them why, and then you say, if you ever want to talk about doing this, ask me, and we'll talk about the age appropriate time to do it. Your thoughts, all of you?
I with my girls, because again, I think we just were born in different ages and times. Like our parents didn't talk to us about a lot of things. We kind of just learned from our peers and things like that. So I took the more scientific approach with my children. Like I went and did the research and everything, because with darker skins, like if you start to shave and wax earlier, we get like hyperpigmentation. We start turning dark in certain spots, like our underarms and things like that. So I had to go and do research, like what's the best time for children of color to start shaving and start doing things. So I sat them down and talked to them about that. And I would do like little simple grooming on them when they started to hit puberty, just so they, because it is, once you start growing different things like hair and different parts or whatever, and then they were athletes and so they sweat. Yeah. So I talked to them about grooming before actually shaving and tweezing and things like that, so that it's better for them as they grow in age and it won't harm them or cause dark spots and things like that. So sometimes it's better to have those conversations so they know why you're saying they can't do something or they shouldn't do something, like telling them the reasons why. Like don't just like say you can't do it or say you don't do it. If really having a conversation about it.
I agree that parents should be talking to their kids, just because like if my daughter had a unibrow, I don't want her bombarded with that at school. I'm not going to frame it in a negative way,
because it may be hereditary
at all.
It may be a family trait.
If the first time she ever hears this,
and then it's all like kind
know,
of on the flip side. I agree with you. On the flip side,
no, I agree.
I would kind of be like, I can't believe my mom didn't say anything. Like I think it's a fine line, but I do think maybe tying it into the conversations that you have about going through puberty, like there's so many changes. Really, I mean, if you just kind of loop it in to that conversation, that everybody has different preferences, and same with fashion and makeup. The definition of beauty and the way that the eyebrows look, that changes.
Tell me about it.
Beauty,
look at mine.
beauty in our society is so
with the
fickle.
unibrow. It's give or take. Like there's like it's good and bad, because I don't know if we as parents should go to our kids and say, what do you want to do something about the unibrow? Because there are adults.
I wouldn't frame it that way.
No, I wouldn't frame it that way
because
either.
There are adults that walk around with the unibrow. It doesn't bother them, So like even one of my daughters, she had an issue with her arms. I never thought anything was wrong with her arms, but I let her come to me. Like she came to me and said, Mom, I don't really like the way my arms are. Like what should I wear to complement them? Like should I do a certain exercise to tone them up and to make them look more, slimmer or whatever the case may be. But I feel like if I would have went to her first and said something about it, then
you would have made her self-conscious
then I would have
about
made
it.
her self-conscious
Here's the thing,
about
like my daughter, when she started to get hair on her legs, I never said anything to her about, hey, do you want to shave your legs? But by that point, I had already talked to her about why I shave my legs. And shaving my legs is a part of my routine. So that she knew that when she was ready, if she wanted to, and if she was ready, she could come to me and go, hey, I'm ready to shave my legs. Can I? And that's how it was. Right? What do you think, Deanna?
I'm a wildebeest, so I had a lot of hair when I was in 5th grade. And I remember somebody bullying me about it. And now I feel like my daughters have the worst mother in terms of my you know what
Yeah.
are I've never really cared what, and I know that my daughter had an issue where a little kid said something to her. I'm not going to give that bully that power
Yes.
because
Right.
pick your bully,
Yes.
pick your year,
and that's
they're
what-
going to have something to
And
say about
exactly,
your unibrow, your
right,
hair,
right.
your what have
That can't
you.
be the reason that
Right.
you finally shave,
Right.
that you finally
Exactly.
wax.
Right, right.
Exactly.
Because
you
there
are
are so
you are
many
validating
people.
what the bully said.
Right,
Exactly.
If
right.
that's what makes it happen.
So
Yes.
I want to be the one that mandates that says at 14
Yes.
you can shave your legs, or
Yes.
you know, at this age
Right.
you can put on makeup. It's not going to be the bully's
Right,
choice.
Exactly
It's
right.
This family's
Let's say the
choice.
bully
Right,
started bullying them at
exactly.
age whatever,
And
7.
that to
No.
me is how
can't
you help build confidence.
Yes.
That's how you help
Yes.
it, is how, like what Deanna said, like, no, I'm not going to allow you or my peers to dictate what I do to my body and how I do whatever I do to my body. It's going to be my choice, you know? So, yeah.
Beautiful. I love this conversation.
Yes, me
Before
too.
we wrap up, I always like to end with a little segment I called Ask Me Anything, where I ask each mom the same question and we all answer. Deanna, you have to answer too today. All right? Yes, you do. Here's today's question. Do you owe your children any apologies for anything that you wish you had the opportunity to apologize for but didn't?
Like you're
Allison,
asking in general or for something
Your choice.
specific?
your choice.
I think apologizing is so important. I think taking accountability.
No, I mean specific then.
Oh. Okay. I mean, I mess up all the time. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
same.
where do I even begin? But I know that sometimes, let me see. If I'm
You want to think about it, come back to you?
no, that's okay. But if I'm exhausted or tired or I didn't get enough sleep and I have a short fuse,
Yes.
I will or if I haven't eaten enough,
Yes.
I will notice that my patience and my tolerance is not what it needs to be. And so there will be times where we're driving in the car. Oh gosh, I have a hard time when the kids are in the car and I'm trying to drive and they're back there and they're not listening and they're fighting with whatever it may be. But sometimes my response is not appropriate
Yes.
to what the conversation is or whatever it is they're doing back there. And I might not be able to realize it in that moment. But when I have that guilty feeling, I will always say I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
That we call it momster mode on
Yes.
Maggie and the Moms. We've
Yes.
all been there. We've all
Hangry.
been guilty of it.
yes, yes.
What about you, Tina?
Oh yeah, I've had to apologize for a lot of stuff. I'll be honest. But recently, I had to apologize to my daughter because she was very vulnerable with me. I think sometimes I can be a little bit overbearing because my parents were strict on me. And so, you know, I think I kind of carried that along. Both my mom, my dad, my grandparents, they were all just like, nope, this is the way it is. So I think I was like that a lot with them. And when I knew when I felt like they were going to get in trouble with something, I would go in and stop it. Like I would, you know.
Yeah.
And my older daughter just recently said to me, she said, that taught me not to trust myself.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And so I had to
Oh,
apologize for that.
And you
Yeah,
apologized.
and I did.
And I
Yeah.
love that she came to you and said
That
that.
says
That
a
must have been
lot.
hard.
Oh, it was hard. I
That
cried
must
all
have been
night,
hard.
and I
You're
told.
crying now.
Oh yeah, I know.
I don't
and,
blame
and I
you.
told her. I said, and I was vulnerable with her, and I said, you know what? Although, because I knew I was doing the best that I
Exactly.
could and knew how, so I had that conversation with her after I talked to her, and I told her, I said I cried about it and everything, but I truly apologized because it was not my intention to not give you the gift of freedom, you know? So, but she's doing great now.
Well,
So-
I
think she's
have to
doing
tell
great now
you-
because I apologized.
Well, right.
So,
That makes such a difference.
Learning
And
moment.
what just stands out to me in you telling that story is the fact that she felt comfortable.
yeah.
That means you
Coming
did
to
something
you.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
It really does.
And that's what I had to tell myself.
Yeah.
And that's how I was able to get over it, that I was happy that she was able to come
It's
to me.
incredible.
You're
Yeah.
not
That's
going to be a
incredible.
perfect mom.
No.
But
Right.
clearly
No.
you were a great one if she felt that she could
Yeah.
come and talk to you
Yeah.
about that.
Thank
Deanna?
you.
I'm up. All right.
You're
I
up.
think
You're up.
Maggie's going to relate to this
All right.
because Maggie knows this. I'm a know-it-all. And I'm a know-it-all
That's
at
a
home,
gift.
too.
I mean, who wouldn't want to know it all?
Because we don't know it all. And I can see in one of my children, who shall remain nameless, that she is also, I have 2 girls, so I can say she is also becoming a know-it-all.
Okay, I'm not going to reveal, but I know which one.
I want them to learn that you have to apologize.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to apologize more. But recently I have to apologize because I do this thing at work and at home where I will start giving out tasks. I'm like,
Check the
"Clean your
calendar,
room."
Maggie. Sorry,
like,
what?
Clean your room and then go pick up your homework. And I'm just and my daughter goes, only one thing at a time.
Wow.
I cannot do all of the things that you just asked me to do. And she's right. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I am so sorry.
Wow.
I'm going to take it in.
Yeah.
I mean, I've slipped up since you said that.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to do better.
But
one
again,
task at a time.
raising
Right.
a daughter who's comfortable enough to know I don't just have to blindly do this and be scared of my mom. I
Yes,
can
I
say,
can say
Mom,
something,
take
yes.
it
It's
easy.
like that's it really is incredible. And even like saying what you just said to her, like, okay, I'm sorry. I am trying. I'm going to continue to try. I think that just, oh my gosh.
And that is a confidence builder too.
Yes. All right, so mine is a little deep, but it's
Uh-oh.
going to give you an insight into my brain and the things that keep me up at night. I want to apologize to my daughter, my firstborn, that I wasn't there enough when she was growing up because I was focused on work, and that I then overcompensated when I retired to be a stay-at-home mom, and I was too much in her business.
Yeah.
And for myself, wanting to prove that I was a good mom, doing too much for her, and I may have cut her wings and not let her find independence sooner. And I regret that. I feel that now I have found the thing that Deanna knows is my favorite thing in the world, the middle balance.
Yeah.
Where she has her freedom. She is independent. I'm still there for her.
Yes.
No matter what she needs, I'm there. But I realize that those two extremes were not healthy, either one.
Yeah.
When I wasn't there at all and letting the nanny raise my child and not being as present as I could, a disservice.
Yeah.
When I was there all the time doing everything, that was a disservice as well.
Yeah.
Well,
But that's
that-
what makes us all
right.
great
And
moms.
that awareness
because of the
is-
awareness. Yes.
Yes. And, you know, you've talked about perfectionism a lot, and I've talked about it a lot in therapy. And one thing I have learned about us perfectionists, we like it to be either black or white.
Yes.
We don't like living in
Yes.
that uncomfortable
Yeah.
gray.
And the unknown.
in the unknown. Exactly.
That's
And
what it is.
so
The unknown.
I think this whole conversation, it just boils back down to go to therapy.
Yeah. Right.
Therapy is literally, I think everybody should go to therapy.
Yes. You know what therapy is though? It's accountability.
It
like
is.
for yourself. And
It
also
absolutely is.
being okay with it, that you're not perfect.
Yes.
So
And if you don't have time or money or whatever to go to therapy, come here.
yes.
Come
Yes.
here
Even watch.
because we are all about talking it out, learning from each
Love it.
other.
Love it.
And I really have loved today's conversation.
Yeah,
Thank you,
same.
ladies,
Same.
so
Thank you.
much.
Yes.
And Deanna, I don't know this by heart yet. So watch live or listen.
Yep, you can watch live
Go
on
ahead, you say it.
WFLA WFLA now. I'm messing it up too.
WFLAnow.com.
And then you can listen on Spotify or any other places where you get your podcast, and you can watch us back on YouTube.
Awesome.
Maggie and the Moms. Bye. You did great, Deanna. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was really good.
Yes.